What Stacey Says, the weekly podcast. Real lady, real life, real views. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable. And here's your host, Stacey.
Hello, my darlings. How are we all? I hope you've all had a lovely weekend. Hot one again on Saturday. Absolutely sweating my bollocks off. Me and James went to a wedding and lovely day. But my God, I could not stop sweating. Like, literally didn't think that I had any fluid left in me after Saturday. Anyway, how are we all? Well, Wednesday's episode was a bit emotional for everyone, wasn't it? I've had some really lovely feedback from you all. And it's quite shocking as to how many people have come to me and said that something similar has happened. Thankfully, they have got their baby and their babies are doing well. But it's just so frightening as to how many people have, and even now, even a day like today, people are messaging me and saying, I've watched your episode, I couldn't stop crying, you were brilliant and you really got the message out there to say that you aren't on your own. So everyone that has given me feedback, really thank you so much. And I really do appreciate every single one of your comments, every single one of your messages. And I really appreciate you all watching any episode that I post on this podcast. I really appreciate all your support. However, I did have, which if you follow me, you know, have one negative comment from somebody who I'm going to say once, and that is it, because I'm never going to talk about this person again, because one, they're not worth a wank, and two, they're not worth a wank. So after 14 years of no contact, my daughter's father decided to rear his head and tell me that I need to take down my lies. Number one, he couldn't spell her name right. Number two, you have not done anything in 14 years in regards to her gravestone, her just anything. So you do not have the audacity to message me and tell me to take anything down in regards to her. And number three, whatever. You are not worth my time, and quite frankly, your mum should have had a blowjob the night that you were conceived. Apart from that, I'm now done talking about that specific person. Okay? Moving forward. This episode that I'm going to talk about will be following on from my first one. And I want to talk about sort of like the aftermath of what happened and how I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and just talk about what I did and how I coped, how I still cope in everyday life since losing Cyan. So we had her funeral, obviously what I said in the last episode. And about 3 or 4 months after that, I sort of ended my relationship with her father and moved back in with family and friend. I moved in with a friend and then I moved back in with my family. And every day I felt numb. I can't explain the feeling of what I felt. I just couldn't. I just felt empty. I kept going over and over in my head. What could I have done differently? What could I have said? What could have I done have prevented the outcome that I got? And it just kept playing around in my brain. I couldn't grieve as such. So it just felt like I just completely shut all my emotions down into a box with a lid on it and just left it. I started drinking heavily, and I did start using drugs again. Not as bad as what I did, but I did. Not something that I'm going to shout from the rooftops. But again, these episodes are going to stem off from, oh, just kicked you all. We've all got a bit wobbly. And go into talking about addiction and whatever. So I come out of a relationship with her father, and then I got into a relationship with somebody else that was an ex that I thought would be a wise idea, but clearly it wasn't. And I think that I just wanted to be loved, and I wanted the family unit that everyone around me seemed to be having. So I got back into a relationship with somebody that I thought that was comfortable, and obviously that didn't work out either. But following from losing Cyan, it was really, really hard for me. I couldn't even watch babies on the telly. So like a Pampers advert would come on or a Huggies advert would come on, and I would walk out the room. I wouldn't cry as such, but I would just generally just walk out the room because I just couldn't sit and watch babies. And then I came back in and I was fine. So then I went to the doctors and I explained to them what had happened, which they could clearly see on my notes anyway. And they diagnosed me with depression. And they gave me tablets, which for some people they help, some people they don't. I personally don't think they help me, but they might help other people. And I was prescribed sertraline, and they advised me to take them overnight time because I could get side effects on them. So they gave me sertraline, and it made me feel worse. I felt very soulless, and to the point I couldn't actually feel anything. So like I just felt numb, and I thought I can't carry on with these. So I went back to the doctors and I said to them, these are not working for me, and they gave me something else. And then they said, how are you sleeping? I said, well, I'm not. I'm going to sleep, and every time I shut my eyes, I'm replaying everything back in my brain. And they prescribed me sleeping tablets, and I can't think of what they were called, but they worked for a little while, and then again, they just didn't, me personally, they didn't work for me. So I came off them myself, which I know you shouldn't do, but I did. And I was drinking, which probably didn't help. So I would do at least 2 or 3 bottles of wine a day. But I was functioning. I would still get up and go to work because I thought I've got to go back into work. I was off. They obviously signed me off for about 3 or 4 months, but then I got bored and I thought I can't sit indoors and be bored. I need to do something to occupy my mind. So I got back into work, and I moved to Gravesend with my ex, and I started working back in a estate agent. I started as a property manager. So whilst I was working there, the whole inquest was going on, and I had to take days off and go to the courts, and in which was literally just down the road in Gravesend. So all of this was going on, and I was trying to get back into normal life. I was trying not to relive it every day. But it was so hard because the inquest took 3 years to get to date to figure out what happened. And I was in a very volatile relationship with that ex as well. So we argued a lot and fought a lot. And then my court case finished. In the meantime, I passed my driving test as well. So I bought my car and we moved to Gillingham from there. So the court case finished. I was given £38,500 for Cyan's death from the hospital. I mean, no amount of money would ever bring her back, but I think that is just disgusting. And that was it. Case closed. I was given that money and told to carry on with my life, which I tried to do. So we moved to Gillingham, and I want to go forward about 4 or 5 years. And I lose my granddad unexpectedly. He wasn't poorly. There was nothing wrong with him. He went to a friend's house and basically didn't come home. He had a heart attack. And that really affected me as a person. And because I adored my granddad, he was my absolute world. So all these emotions come back again. And I completely broke down. And then I want to fast forward about 6 or 7 months, and me and my partner went on holiday. Or me and my ex-partner went on holiday. And I couldn't, we were, at this point, we were in the process of splitting up anyway, because I just hated him. And our friends surprised us on this holiday, and I was over the moon because I thought, I do not have to speak to you. I can be occupied by my friends. But on the journey back, and I think this was what was happening whilst I was actually on holiday. I think the build-up of things were happening whilst I was on holiday. Now, this is 7 years after Cyan had died. And I was on the flight home. Now, I'm an anxious flyer anyway, as you all know. And we got home, and the next morning my mum come round to see us. And I sat on the sofa and I was scrolling through my social media, and somebody had posted about saying happy heavenly birthday to somebody, their family member or whatever. And I had a massive panic attack, and I had to walk out of the front room and go into the bedroom and try and calm myself down. And I couldn't. And I've never felt fear like it in all my life. It's like my body had snapped. And I was scared of dying. And I could not. I thought, I'm going to get over this in a minute. I just need to go back to work and get in the process of things again and get into a normal routine. But this shift weren't shifting. I was terrified of dying. I was terrified of everything. I couldn't even leave my house. And my mum come in and she was like, is everything right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm trying to calm myself down. Because now I think about it, I think, you idiot, you just, what the fucking hell is wrong with you? Like, how do you explain to somebody you're having a panic attack because you're frightened of dying? So I sort of calmed myself down, but in the back of my, it felt like my brain had broken, because in the back of my head, all I kept thinking about was dying. What's going to happen when I die? And I went to bed that night and I went to sleep. And then every time I woke up, I still kept having this panic attack and just kept thinking of dying and what would happen to me and my body when I died. It was awful. It was absolutely horrendous. And I went to work the next day thinking, I'm going to snap out of this in a minute. And I still kept having it in work. The word death or died it triggered me really badly, and I'd start panicking and I'd be crying. This bit of fringe is really pissing me off. And my boss, my manager at the time, she went, "What's happened?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I can't tell you." I said, "I just keep having panic attacks. I can't understand why." I said, "And I'm terrified of dying." She went, "Well, go home." So I went home. I phoned my mum because she was at work, because my mum moved in with me temporarily. And I said, "Mum, I keep having panic attacks." I said, "And I don't want to be on my own." So she went, "Why do you keep having panic?" I said, "I don't know, Mum." Now, me and my mum, and now everyone that I know, are very spiritual people. And I lost all my belief as well. I thought, no, when you die, that's it. I mean, if you do believe that, then you do believe that, but I don't. And I believe that you will see your loved ones again, and I believe that you do come back and you do have lessons again. And I'm not saying I believe in God, because I believe there's something, but I don't think it's a God. And I said to her, "Mum, you've got to come home." I said, "I can't stop crying." I said, "I can't leave the house." I said, "I'm terrified of leaving the house. Something's going to happen to me." So she came home. She phoned my doctor. I got an emergency appointment straight there. I explained to him what happened with Cyan. I explained to him what I was feeling. And he said to me, "You're having a nervous breakdown." He went, "You have put a lid on all of these emotions, and now that the lid has popped off and you are now having all these emotions." So again, I was prescribed sertraline, which I took for a month, and I was given counselling. Personally, I don't think they did help, because whatever they did, they sort of calmed me down and stopped me thinking all of these intrusive thoughts. And because it was so bad, I didn't want to leave the house. I was signed off work for a month. I told my mum to sell my car. I said, "Mum, just sell it. I'm never going to drive again. I'm never leaving this house. I'm going to become a fucking hermit." I said, "I'm not leaving this house." She was like, "Stacey, you need to stop." She went, "All you've done is lost your belief." She went, "That's all you've done." She went, "You've been believing in all this stuff since you were a kid." She went, "So what's happened?" I said, "No, that's it. When we die, we die." And all I kept picturing, and I know it sounds horrible, was my daughter in the ground. I'm thinking, she's in the ground. She's cold. She's on her own. She's in wherever she is by herself, and I need to be with her. I can't not be with her. So, and I was thinking all of this, and no one, I never said any of this out loud. And a friend of mine, because again, I had such a massive support network, but I felt so on my own. So I had all my friends and family, and I had people just messaging me that I hadn't seen for ages, or people that I'd worked with that I hadn't seen for ages messaging me and saying, "I've heard what's happened. Are you all right?" And one of my friends that I used to work with in Chatham, she messaged me and she said to me, "I hear you've had a nervous breakdown." And I was like, "Yes, I am." She went, "What's happening?" I said, "I'm just terrified of dying." I said, "I'm absolutely terrified of dying." And the older I'm getting, I still sort of panic about that. I mean, whoever doesn't is a liar, because it's the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown. And she recommended that me and my mum come to a spiritualist church in Sittingbourne to see her friend, who's a psychic medium. Now, whether you believe that as well is completely up to you, but this woman is fantastic. And I've had a couple of readings with her. I've taken my eyelashes off and glued glue into my eyelids, so I do apologise about that. So Karen, her name's Karen, and she's not a horrible Karen. She's a lovely Karen. She told me to come to this spiritualist church where her friend was that was doing this psychic night. And I was like, do I not? So I asked my mum if she would come with me, and my mum said, "Of course I would." So we went to this night, and as soon as me and my mum walked in the door, this woman, her name is Sam, lovely, beautiful soul you could ever meet in your life. She was fixated on me. And she's clairaudient, and she was doing, like, obviously a show for everyone in this room. And she came over to us and she done a little, like, reading for my mum. And I was just sitting there, and I was still soulless from what happened with my nervous breakdown and taking these tablets, etc. So her show had finished, and my mum went to me, "Are you all right?" I went, "Yeah, I'm all right." She went, "Are you getting any bit of your belief back yet?" I went, "No." And as I went to leave, this woman said, "I want to talk to you." And it just makes me go cold. So this woman knew nothing about me, knew nothing about my mum, knew nothing about my situation. And she said to me, "I could have done my whole show on you." She went, "You have got a massive, massive black cloud." She went, "And I really want to do a reading for you." So I was like, yeah, all right. So I booked in a reading with her for the next day, I think, or on Sunday. And me and my mum went there. She done a reading for my mum, and she done a reading for me. And when I sat in the chair, when I tell you this woman was spot on, this woman was spot on. And she said to me, she went, "You have got a massive grey cloud over your head that's clearing." She went, "And I feel so depressed around you at the moment. I can't shift it." And I said to her, "Jess, I'm coming out of a nervous breakdown." So she went, "Okay, that would make sense." She went, "I'm getting the number 7. She went, "Why am I getting the number 7? So Cyan would have been 7 when I had this reading done. And then she got very confused because Cyan's name is a colour. So Cyan's name means the colour blue, but it's spelt Cyan. Whereas when I told my mum that I was going to call Cyan, and I was going to spell it Cyan, it took my mum ages to come back and say whether she liked it or not, because we had books and books of girls' names, and every name that I threw at my mum said no. So my name is Stacey Ann, spelt Stacey with an EY and Ann as ANN. So my mum came back and said, "Yes, but you spell it like this." Hence the capital S, the little Y, and the ANN. So Cyan and my name are entwined. And this woman said to me, she went, "I'm really confused." She went, "Because I've got a little girl, but I'm being shown the colour blue, and I can't understand why." She went, "Because she's a little girl and she's not a boy." And I tell you now, I could not stop crying. So she went to me, "Please tell me what this is." She went, "Because I'm really confused." I said, "Well, that is my daughter, who's 7, and her name is Cyan, which means the colour blue." She went, "That makes perfect sense." And she come out with something that no one knew that I was thinking. And at the time, my daughter was up there on her own. And she turned around to me and she said to me, I'm going to cry again, and I'm really sorry. She went, "You're not wanted up there. She's safe." And my mum just burst into tears because no one knew that I was thinking of ending my life. Trigger warning, sorry. Because I was so terrified that she was up there by herself. And I was just in awe of this woman. This woman described my daughter's birth. She went, it was like she was here and then she was gone. So I explained to her the birth and what had happened. She went, "Yeah, that makes sense." And she just said to me, she went, like, "She's fine." She went, she's always walking around with no shoes on. So my mum went, "You used to do that." She went, she's absolutely safe. She went, so you've got nothing to worry about. And when I left there, I felt about 10 stone lighter. I felt so much relief, and I knew that my little girl was okay. And I just went on about my life. And I thought, no, I need to snap out of this, and I need to get on with my life. And I did. And then I've got to get a bit confused with myself because my granddad died not long after that reading. So then I had to go through all of that after coming out of this nervous breakdown of the grief again, because you will never, ever, you'll never get over it. People say, oh, how have you got over it? I haven't got over it. I've just learned to cope with it. And I'll never forget her. So like one of my friends who commented and said that they had miscarried their twins, she still does things around like on what would have been their birthday and things like that. And I do that. And I totally understand where she's coming from. I go to the cemetery with a balloon and a card. I write her a card. I've got a memory box and it's got all of her things in it. And I carry on every day as normal, but I'll never ever sort of stop celebrating her. And when the day comes that I'm blessed with more children, they will know who she is. So I always do something for her birthday on Halloween, because I love Halloween and I love Christmas. I'm a big kid. And I always make sure that she is celebrated. I can't say that people will get over this situation, but it does get easier. So I know another friend of mine that has lost their daughter, and she knew that I'd lost Cyan, and she goes, how do you do it? And I'm like, you just do. You have a new way of life in not a very nice way, in not a very nice situation. I know for a fact my daughter wouldn't want me wallowing. She wants me to celebrate her, and that's what I try to do. And that's why I've always wanted to do this podcast. Who needs therapy? Start a fucking podcast. It's so self-healing, so they say, even though I feel like a right wanker talking to myself. So I have always wanted to do this and never really knew how to or how to start. And I still sort of panic that I think, what the fucking hell am I going to talk about each week? And that's the reason why I wanted to do it, because I know that, well, from all the messages and everything from everyone else, it is quite, and it's scary at how common this is still happening in this day and age. You'd think that giving birth should not be as frightening and as unpredictable as what it is. Us women are amazing because our bodies change so much and our bodies go through so much giving birth. And then at the end of it, you put your trust into somebody to help you give birth because you have no idea how to fucking do it yourself, for you to be treated like shit in a hospital. I just think it's disgusting. There's got to be something. Something's got to give in order for us girls to be safe and for our babies to be born. So that was the reason why I've done this, is because I want it to reach the right audience. And just like I said, you're not on your own. You can talk to other people about your experience, because when you talk to people that haven't gone through anything like that, it's very awkward, as I've said previously. So that was the reason why I started doing this. So alongside my depression came anxiety, which I'd rather have depression. because my brain is 1 minute wants to just be like, and then the next minute it is 100 miles an hour creating scenarios in my brain that are not going to happen. I'm panicky, like I have severe like heart palpitations, and I'm just getting on my own fucking nerves when it comes to anxiety, and it's a joke. I know everyone suffers with it, and I know that like, not everyone, but people do suffer with it, and it's so hard to explain. Like when somebody says to you, like, "What's the matter?" and I'm like, I can't put it into words. Like James is brilliant. When I'm having my wobbly days, he's absolutely brilliant. And he says to me all the time, like, explain it to me. And I'm like, oh. I said, I just feel really down and depressed and I can't explain why. Why? I don't know. And he's like, why? Speak of the devil, and he should WhatsApp. He goes to me, well, try and talk to me. Tell me what's going on. And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel really emotional. I can't explain why. It's the smallest things that can trigger something. And I'm like, I go into panic mode. I've developed separation anxiety from James as well. So if he's like out, I know this sounds fucking awful because I don't want him chained to me. I don't think I could handle that. If he's out and about, I go into panic mode. I'm thinking, is he safe? Is he this? Is he that? Is he okay? Like, is he, I know I'm not putting it out there, he's not had a car accident or he's not had this or something like that. And I went through a phase, and I had to speak to my friend about this, that I kept having really intrusive thoughts about him dying. And when I spoke to my friend about it, I said, am I fucking normal? She went, yeah. She went, I've had that. She went, with my husband. She went, I've laid awake at night panicking, thinking that something awful was going to happen to him. I said, well, I'm fucking glad I'm not the only person. Like, these thoughts would keep me awake at night. And I do not want to go back on antidepressants. I don't, because for me as a person, I'm not telling anybody else who takes them. They don't work for me. They make me feel worse. So I started doing, which I'm slacking in, meditating. And I will talk about this more in other episodes. And I would just try and slow my brain down and shut my brain down and regenerate itself to try and be a bit more positive and a bit more fucking happy, because it got to the point where I was just going to get in the car and drive away and fucking just sit there and have a severe fucking word with myself, because I was just getting on my own nerves. And I don't like to burden people. And I really feel that, and I think that's why a lot of people don't talk about depression and anxiety, because I think they feel like it's a burden to other people and their lives and their families. I've got my best friend who goes to me, you do know you can talk to me about anything. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you have got a husband and 2 kids. You do not want to listen to me banging on about why my brain has decided to have a fucking paddy all of a sudden. But I know that she is there for me, and I know she would listen to me. But it's just in my brain, you feel like you are just constantly negative all the time, and you don't want that around other people. Like, I can't stand being around negative people. I can't stand it. Like, I get it, we have off days. I get it that we have shitty days, and we're not all going to jump out of bed and have an amazing day. But when you're constantly negative all the time, it drains the shit out of me, and I can't stand it. Like, it's like sort it out. And I do not want to be that person. I do not want to be that kind of person. So when I'm having a bit of an episode, even James says it to me now. He goes, fuck off and meditate because you're doing me head in. I'm like, oh, okay. And then once I've done that, I feel fine. I'm better. It's like now, I've now started to put meditation music on for these episodes, because it just makes me feel a bit better, because I feel like a twat talking to myself. So that's what I've started doing. But each to their own. Other people will do different things. And it's whatever helps you. So that is my episode on that. I don't quite know how I got out of it. You never fully recover. You never ever fully recover from depression and anxieties. There's always going to be something there, but I am a hell of a lot better than what I was. I'm in a lovely relationship with my partner now. Does he get on my nerves? Yes, he fucking does. Do I get? And he's most probably. Do I want to throttle him 99.9% of the time? Yeah, I do. Does he probably want to do that to me? Yes, but he is so understanding, and he's just brilliant when it comes to what's happened with me and my feelings, etc. on it. So I am a lot better. I'm not saying that I'm fully cured, so I don't think you ever will be. Especially at a loss. I mean, grief is grief. I grieve for her. I grieve for my granddad. And also a loss is a loss. I don't care what anyone says about if you've lost a child, you have lost a child. Whether it's a miscarriage, whether it's a stillborn, whether it's an ectopic, whether you've had them for 8 minutes, 8 months, 8 years, 18 years, 38 years, they are still your babies, and they just take a bit with you. I felt like she took a piece of me when she went, and she did. But I know that she is around me, and that is what keeps me going. And I just thrive for her, really. I do thrive for her. So I'm going to leave it there on this one. And thank you so much for listening again, and all your help, support, comments, likes, laughs, experience, sharing all your experiences with me and your stories. I really do appreciate that. And please get in contact with me if you want to talk about anything, or you feel like you're on your own and you have no one to talk to. I want you to reach out to somebody. I don't want you to think that you are on your own in anything, because you're not. You have got so many people around you, and just reach out. Don't think that you're on your own, because you're not. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening to me waffle on like I fucking do. This one will be dropped on Wednesday, and there will be one on Friday, and I have no idea what the bloody hell I'm going to talk about, and I say that all the time, but I find something. So love you all. Have a lovely week, and I shall speak to you, and you shall tune in soon.
What Stacey Says. Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable. What Stacey says. Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable. What Stacey says. Make sure to subscribe to get updates on new episodes. Uncensored, unfiltered, unmissable.